Lights, camera, action. Not quite. This is a podcast after all. But part 2 of the big interview with Martin Compston, brilliant actor, will take us to the set of The Damned United, the film which told the story of Brian Clough's ill-fated spell in charge of Leeds. Martin, who plays striker John O'Hare in the film, is often fiercely critical of movies about football, but he explains why he thinks that The Damned United gets it so right. He also talks about what it was like to work with the director Ken Loach on another great film which had football as its backdrop, Tickets. From Loach to Michael Sheen to Miss Marple, Martin tells great stories about some famous names. And how about another, Prince? Martin's late night encounter with the legendary songwriter took place on the eve of a Soccer Aid match. And after partying like it was 1999, which I'm sure was the first time in his life he tried that, Martin still managed to turn in a Soccer Aid performance which earned him special praise from the special one. You've introduced a theme that we wanted to talk to you a little bit about, the Murray brothers, the Scots lacking this focus, winning mentality. I'd imagine that some of that mentality you have to be able to concentrate in a cave in Bucharest at 4 a.m, or whatever it might be in your work. And we'll talk about your work broadly, but you've been involved in a couple of football projects on film, which happily blends the narratives a little bit, including one that'll be more famous and one that I think made a huge impact on us, Tickets. But let's start with Damned United. What's the experience of filming that like? And did you even know who O'Hare was?
No, I knew of the team, but again, because I remember having a conversation, I'll bring it back to that. I had a conversation with Tom Hooper, the director, who went on to win an Oscar for The King's Speech right after Damned United. But I remember them saying to me, because the big thing, they were the most successful team of that era. And I went, no, they weren't. Celtic were the most successful team of that era. We won the European Cup.
There's a theme.
But it was great to be part of. For one reason, you had 14 actors in a hotel for 3 months.
So you could all help each other with your lines?
Yeah, we were all
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, there was...
some sort of improvisation classes?
Yeah, we were all there for each other, put it that way. I remember, it was that many...
All times of day and night, is that...
I remember one day... because we were hitting it that hard, and we were training, and I remember...
Getting in character,
actually, I had to put a chair behind my door, because Stevie Graham, we'd all got keys cut for each other's room. So we could so if anybody was not wanting to go on a night out, we could get in and get them out. But it was brilliant, and Michael Sheen's a phenomenal actor, lovely guy. Michael can play a bit, but it was nice to be in that, because some of the footage as well. I remember watching them do the scene with Colm Meaney and Michael Sheen, which was the interview between Clough and Revie, when after Clough had just been sacked.
The Yorkshire TV.
Yeah, he turned up. Yeah. And I remember thinking, reading it, going, that's not believable. And they right away went, no, this happened. And he showed me, so I'd encourage anybody to watch it. And so Clough's just been sacked by Leeds United, and he's been asked for an interview, and he turns up the studio, and Don Revie, the former manager and his mortal enemy, is there waiting on him, and they have this bizarre interview together. And again, but Revie raises some good points. Why did Clough take that job? He labelled them dirty Leeds, which they're still to this day, I hear people calling them. And he tore them apart, but it was, I think, because people have this thing about me, and I actually just got offered a football film which I turned down because I hate football films. I don't think they're done any well, and when it's something you're so passionate about. What Damned United did great about there is all the inner workings of the club, and it's a fantastic true story, and there's a lot of footage, and it's just clips of the game. You can't really catch a game in full flow, I think, unless it's playing. And again, I won't name it, but they've got a bit of money behind it, and I remember my agents and my managers send me and saying, you'll love this, and I went, no, if this isn't done right, and they called a striker a goal-getter.
No, thank you.
And from that moment I went, no, if you can't even, I don't care who you are, if you can't do your research enough, even if you're not capable to know that it's a striker, then you're not going to connect with your core audience. And I love football films in terms of films that are around football, but to actually capture the game playing. It was another film actually, which was a fantastic true story about a lad in the Falcons who Boca Juniors signed, but it was all very political because they wanted to claim the boy for his own. And it was a great story, it was true, but the ending had the boy score one against the Argentinians and then run and beat his own whole team and score into his own goal. And I remember trying to explain this to my American managers. I go, why this can't be possible. And the only way I can explain it, it's like throwing a touchdown into your own end zone. It doesn't happen. This can't happen. So I think football is something very hard to capture on film.
We asked a lot of the listeners to talk about this subject, to suggest football films that work. What were you all doing? Not one of you mentioned Gregory's Girl. Possibly the greatest ever film, never mind football film. Keep up. But we came to the conclusion that very often American sport can be captured on film and has been quite well.
Yeah, but again, I think because football in full flow, I think it's very easy to see somebody who can't play football.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like American football was just in its own way, it has so many stoppages. So to get in that huddle and kind of stuff and see that throw.
Okay.
But then, I mean, there's great sport films. I mean, even like you can tell White Man Can't Jump. Those two can play basketball. You can see that right from the off. In my mind, the only way you could capture a really good football film is to employ actors who could really play and then just let them play and get what you got.
At which point the actuaries are going to say, but what if one of the stars turns an ankle? They're not going to allow it to happen. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to let it happen. I mean, on Damned United, Stevie... Well, we pal Stevie Graham, like a lot of people know him, sort of Al Capone and Boardwalk Empire, but Stevie's a great friend of mine. He absolutely scudded me on Damned United in one. You know, he was supposed to do it, but it was a great moment as well, actually, because Stevie was playing Billy Bremner. So we had a lot of local sort of younger lads in as sort of the extras and stuff. So we were playing training games, we were playing our positions to try and get in, and we're playing Derby versus Leeds. Stevie's running about the park being a wee Scottish general, shouting abuse, and he's giving this one kid abuse. As Billy Bremner, and the guy's dad ran on the pitch. Guy's like, leave him alone. And we're all going, whoa, he's Billy Bremner, what are you doing?
We're pretending.
And then I remember the dad going off, I saw you're a good actor, and Stevie going, I've got a few awards as well.
I've seen him, he's intensely funny. The way I've seen him off character is Soccer AM. When he comes on, you've got that brilliant, even sitting as a viewer of the television, you're like, anything could happen here. Literally.
He's great fun, he's great to be around, and he's one of those actors who's universally loved, and I mean literally from DiCaprio, Depp and down to sort of way where anybody that's ever worked with him, he's everybody loves him. Everybody, I think Scorsese called him he's British Joe Pesci. Yeah, he's well loved. Yeah,
that's astounding.
Yeah, they worked together on Gangs of New York, and then I think Scorsese headhunted him for Al Capone and Boardwalk Empire, and because he's a talented boy.
Well played, Stephen. Hopefully we'll talk later. Sheen captured that role like not many people can do if you're playing somebody real. He went and I think he did the same in Frost.
Yeah, it's funny, he did Frost Nixon and he played Tony Blair, and Michael's one of these incredible actors where he's played 3 different historical characters there, and somehow by the end of it, he looks like every one of them. And he doesn't, but physically, just because he kind of morphs into them. But there's a massive difference in acting between doing an impersonation and acting, because that's for people like Rory Bremner and stuff to do. It's not impersonation. You have to bring the character to life within their mannerisms and stuff. And I think Michael's the best in the business at it. Been lucky a couple of times with some of the bigger actors I've worked with, and I worked with Michael when I was quite young. There's a couple of scenes where he's in the dressing room giving us all this big team talk and rallying the troops. Now, obviously, that looks like maybe a minute, 2 minutes on film, but that's like 2 days film because it's on Michael from multiple angles, and then you've got to film around him the rest of the team. And I remember the ADs and the directors and stuff saying, Michael, save your voice, because he's in every scene of the film. Like, let somebody read in for you. And Michael going, no, if the boys are reacting to me, they'll react to me. And when you're a young actor seeing that coming through, that sort of sets a standard for you.
So it's a learning experience, because I'm not talking about you here, but generically when you read about the industry, books particularly, it's said to be a fairly envious industry, and there's brilliant stories about who gets the best shot, taking the light, that fascinates all of us. But you were able to watch and learn and admire,
you never stop learning. I mean, I did a Miss Marple a couple of years ago, and that we Julia Mackenzie, and it's probably the most I've ever learned from anything, because she's got this, I think it's 16-page denouement. This she's speaking for 16 pages. Now, I made the stupid mistake on the first day of standing. That was a learning curve as well, because every other bastard went in and sat down, and I went, I'll be the one standing at the fireplace. And you realise you're standing for 2 days solid. One old dear actually fell asleep during it. But yeah, It was great because it kind of came to her.
That was very realistic snoring.
Because when it came to her, she kind of bounced up as if she hadn't been sleeping.
What's...
But she was 2 pages late. Like, she just sort of bounced in. But all this stuff with Julie, because when you're doing that amount of pages, I'm going through it the night before, just going, right, how would I approach this? Try to learn it and go, right, well, that's kind of just information. That's information. I'll get to that. That's the meat of it. She made every single paragraph come alive. Wow. She committed to everything. And you're thinking, wow, if she's doing that at that age, then there's no excuse for me not to be doing it.
Good point. You've used the phrase about 16 pages. What we're talking about is script reading, script learning.
Yeah.
What does a script look like? To tell people who've never had a script in their hand, what does it look like? What instructions are there? Is it literally just black and white and no guidance?
They start black and white, but they call them the coloured pages. So as soon as they get, there's mistakes, they're called pink pages. So you got the script will change and that comes in then. So it's new lines and then it'll be yellow and then there's blue. And on Line of Duty they become platinum. And you've just got this multicoloured rainbow script you're walking about with. Yeah, it's probably not too much away from just being books. It's just the stage directions, and obviously because it's being filmed, the scene has to be set. So it's like interior, exterior, time of day and stuff. So people can get because it's not just for us. The people who are costume designers or who are locations or set designers, they need to know what the place looks like. So you have to set the scene every time, and then before it cracks on. But yeah, it's funny, these things. It's just, I've been doing it now 15 years. It's just it's my bread and butter, you know.
When you talk about Line of Duty, you talk a great deal of pride, not just about the performance or the character, but about what the show stands for. And one of the emblematic things is the big long interview scenes.
Yeah.
You've given me to understand that the actors have got a voice in how that develops. And from the outside, you'd always imagine that the director's the boss.
Well, yeah, the thing is with something like, especially TV, but something like Line of Duty, basically you get 2 directors a year, per block. So one does the first 3 episodes, one does the second 3. But if a director's coming on in the 4th series, and we've been doing it for 4 years, we know the characters inside out. You do need a fresh voice, and you need obviously somebody to kind of run the ship and control it. But we know how these things work. The interview scenes are completely unique. You know, so Lenny James in the first series actually set the standard. Lenny came in, and because with these sort of things, any time I've ever done scenes of that length before, you tend to break it up because people say they want to keep the momentum going, and by the time you get to page 4 or 5, you're tired or you lose your way. But that's what we want. That's what would happen in a real interview, you know. So if something goes a bit awry or you're a bit flat, then it gives the person on the other side of the table time to up their game or react. And so Lenny came in and he said, right, we're doing it all the way through. And we were all a bit shocked, but it's that sort of fear thing. Once we did it once, we went, well, that was great. Like, that really, really helped. And this, unfortunately, we didn't know the scenes were going to get longer and longer and longer as it went on. The final episode of Series 3, that was an hour and a half. Usually they're only an hour long. But if it was just a normal episode, that final episode was just 2 scenes. It was a 28-minute scene and a 30-minute scene around the table. Shit. They're daunting, but you feel you've earned your money that day. And as I say, like somebody like Tandy Newton, old superstar, you know, lovely woman, BAFTA winner. Even for somebody, we've got to reassure her, going, it's all right, we'll get through this. Because the thing with Line of Duty as well is it's not just the length. The dialogue is so challenging. You know, all this police talk, all this forensic speak, you know, exsanguination, genome sequencing, you know, all this kind of thing. And to make that sound like you're going after somebody, it's not the most threatening at times, but it really is if it's in the real world, because these people know what you're talking about. Not to mention try to hold all that together with an accent. It's not easy. It's a tough day's work, but we've done something that was never really tried before, and I think that's why people have reacted to it so well, and we don't make any apologies for the audience. Like, you have to stay with it, and in this day and age, everything's so immediate. You know, it's binge watching this, but we make people hold on for the week, because you have to digest what's going on, and you can't be checking your phone, you can't be tweeting or whatever in the middle of it, because if you miss something, it's gone.
So the idea is that you're giving depth, veracity, intensity. So it's because you're talking about the police procedures, long scripts, but you also, each of you, the 3 principals, you're very intense people, I think.
Yeah. Well, Depends if you meet in a bar or
the
an
characters.
HC12.
The characters are.
Yeah.
I'd imagine you use a lot of energy. Burn a lot of energy.
Yeah, well, especially I'll probably say this to lots of people, but Steve plays a wee tosser, and I intentionally make him so. He's a little, terrier running about in his waistcoat getting after people, especially in the last series. It's kind of maybe not something you would notice sort of off the bat watching, but we're always on the move, whether it be in the office. We're very rarely sitting still because you want to keep this idea of movement and something going on. So when you're doing that, like scene after scene, day after, it gets a bit, because you just go, can we just sit down for one scene and just have a chat? But then when we do sit down and just kind of slow everything down, then it's usually something heavy is about to hit.
Back this away if it's rubbish. Have you learned anything from sport that you take from a team environment, a dressing room environment, about performance?
Oh, absolutely.
Into the sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I thought that from coming from football. I thought that quite immediately, especially jumping in that the kind of way to look at it. I mean, sort of the director's your manager, and even if sometimes you don't agree with them, you work for them, and you give them your best shot. And you quickly realise with these things, it is one big team, because I think where people lose their mind into this job is, for instance, it was pouring a rain the other day when we were filming, and somebody's following you about with an umbrella. That umbrella's not to keep you warm, it's to keep your costume dry.
Yeah.
But people can lose a sense of importance, and they think, oh, I've got all this happening. And when people are running to make you tea, it's not because you're more important, it's because you're not allowed to leave set. Mm-hmm. It's so they always know where you are, and so you're ready to go. But people can they can get filled, and it's easily done.
What are you saying, that if everything's done for you all the time, you get into a mode of thinking that everything should be done for you all the time?
Yeah, because it can't. But even for me, I mean, I'm very grounded, so I said I know all these things aren't done for me, Martin Compston. It's done to keep the actor on set and make sure he's ready to go and he's not drenched from one take to another. But it can be quite disconcerting when you go for 4 months of having your driver outside waiting on you and your shot picked up for you, and all of a sudden the job's done. And there's
nobody there.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I said I'm quite grounded, but I can see it can mess with people. It really can.
I think it's one of probably the worst faults of interviews, but I'm about to do it anyway because I'm curious about this. Sky used to, when I did reviews, I would send you a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a BMW.
Yeah.
I haven't lived your life. I haven't done anything like yours, but I remember thinking exactly the same when you've got to find your way across London and there's not somebody doing it for you, or you've got to work out the tube or elbow in elbow with a tourist and it is a good jolt. It does teach you to get off your high horse and can do what you're supposed to do.
One of the biggest ones they had for me, and it was they kind of blinded me, the bastards. I was doing reshoots for a bigger film, and I was filming Line of Duty in Belfast in the morning, so I was like, you're up at 6 or whatever, you're there for 7. I was filming until 5, and they wanted me to do a night shoot in Czech Republic, so just go right through. Obviously, but I had to be on set, so I wrapped in 5 at Belfast, and I had to be on set at 8 in Czech Republic. To then start filming, and so they've sent a private jet for me.
Hello.
And so, I mean, the excitement of that on its own was sort of like, little boy through, kind of swaggering through the airport, and the lovely Sergio Garcia was just in front of me getting on. So you're thinking, I've arrived, and then so get the private jet over your wee wait or whatever, and then go film all night. And so I haven't slept for 24 hours, and I didn't even think, so I just assumed the jet would be there waiting for me. Flight back was via Hamburg, Prague to Hamburg to somewhere else, to London, then to Glasgow. 4 flights.
That's not right. Now, on what you've been saying about keep the costume dry, they should have been thinking, keep the fella on his pins, not 4 flights. They
thought of that.
This fella's a resource for us.
They thought that. No, they thought, because I was done. They thought of that. Get him there in the private jet so he comes happy. But once that's done, you don't need them anymore. Yeah, because we flew. I remember we drove by the private jet entrance, and I went to the guy. I went, "Where are we going, man?"
It's funny. This helps because Fletcher's already said he played against you in the cup final. Sergio Garcia, never off the phone. Is do you know Martin Compston? I'm sure I saw him in that play that day. I didn't have the balls to. I didn't have the balls to say hello to him. So I love the way. I mean, I'm so happy the way he won that eventually, because the Spaniards, him and Ballesteros, I mean, my dad was a huge Seve fan. Seve represents everything that we should be as Scots.
Yeah. Well, what
Gallus and mad, but winning too.
I was a boy, and my pals, one of my best pals' dad took us into Prestwick for when the Opens on, just to see the players coming in. And Jack Nicklaus, I mean, they must be busy, but we and he kind of just swanned us off, and we kind of went to Seve, and people were grabbing him. And he kind of went as well, and me and my pal were just walking away, and then we just said, aye, turned out the car, and it's Sevy, like, shouting us back to the car. And I've still got it on that, because we just got fish and chips, and we got beside the fish and chip wrapper. And I spilled fucking vinegar on it on the way back down the road, and I tried to switch my mates, and he caught me. But I've still got it in the house.
Kevin Bridges, your bus ticket story has just been trumped. Up your game. Nicholas, Sevy Ballesteros on fish and chip paper.
Fish and chip paper, aye.
Only in Scotland. We're not going to let you go, even though you're going to meet very important people, much more important than hello Paul, hello Gordon, after this. Tickets?
Yes.
I'd like to hear about tickets.
Tickets was the second film I did with Ken Loach, and it was a kind of a mad, because I mean Ken, I think is only coming to sort of, a lot of people love him here, and he's come to prominence as one of the greats, but in Europe he's adored. You know, so they had this big
because
film.
of the prominence of art house independent cinema.
Yeah, independent cinema. That's a better way of putting it. And yeah, like in France, when you go to Cannes with them, I mean, it's mayhem. But so they had this idea of doing a film about refugees on a train. Was called, but then 3 different stories, and the 3 different directors did half hour each, and the last half hour was Ken's, and it was about 3 Celtic fans on their way from Glasgow to a Champions League game in Rome. Oh man, it was ideal. I mean, you were getting paid to run about in a Celtic strip and sing Celtic songs. And one of the boys, Gary Maitland, who's in it, he's a big Rangers man. He has lived it down to this day.
The best job he's ever had. Does Ken Loach, just as an aside, does the statements he make, the films he make, does he represent something, themes that you believe in?
Absolutely. I mean, anybody kind of knows me knows I'm a socialist and kind of things I believe in. But I think what Ken does, one, he makes the films that nobody's got the balls to make. I mean, Daniel Blake is one of the most important films of the last decade in my mind, but it's a commercial success. That's what Ken does. He brings these things out, and the way he films again is completely unique, which was quite tough to start because Ken never says action, he never uses mark. Well, mark for anybody is basically, you think all these camera angles are in perfect focus all the time, but basically you've got something on the floor that you need to hit every time for you to be in focus. So it's kind of, that's something from not going to drama school, which was great for me on Mark of the Glen, but you need to learn very quick. You need to hit your mark. That's your big thing. You kind of need to learn to see with your feet.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to gauge distances.
Because literally for people, it'll be taped maybe.
Yeah, it's tape or something, but sometimes not even, because if you can see the floor, you're not allowed. So you kind of know where it is, and you've got to kind of just basically hit it. But Ken doesn't use them. Because he doesn't want people to be aware of who's on, because the focus of the scene will change with the focus of the camera. So you could think it's on you, but it might not. It might be on somebody else.
So is that technique supposed to be presenting a slice of life as if the camera wasn't there?
And it was very difficult. Exactly. It's sort of in some ways sort of like documentary. But what's great about that is, as you said, you don't know who's the focus of the scene at times, so you're giving your everything, because people become very aware of when they're on camera, and people want to know their angles, darling. Am I here? Am I mid-shot? Am I close shot? And then there's this kind of thing that maybe it's a bit older school now, of people always saving themselves for the close-up because they think that's their big one. But sometimes the scene doesn't get into the close-up because it sits so well on a wide shot, but people are half-arsing it because they're waiting on it to come in. I mean, I've been guilty of in the past. I think most actors have been at some time, but with Ken, as he doesn't shoot that way, you're never aware of what's what. So every single take you're given, it never says action, never says cut. So you're never aware really of. With anything else, there's this. You get the clapper board, which I'm sure everybody knows is the thing at the front of the scene. But there can be a sense of right now act that's been done. Whereas with Ken, there's nothing like that.
So does the scene just peter out?
No, you kind of know what it's his natural end, but he'll just pop in and go, oh, thank you, that kind of thing. He'll never say cut, and there'll be nobody coming in, or they'll do that when you're not looking.
We're nearly out. There are 2 more subjects. One is brief. Sadly, before he died, the Prince phoned me and said, is it true that Martin Compston knows Greg, Gary Tank Commander, Nick Hugh? Is Gary's a bright, leading man, writer,
Greg,
performer. Gary to everybody else, Greg to us. Is he the kind of guy who might lead you astray?
I think we lead each other astray quite a lot. He's a great friend of mine. I say a very, very talented boy, with fresh meat, and he's doing the A word now and stuff. But yeah, we sort of coax each other on. We've ended up in some heaps together.
Is there an example?
Well, one of the great things about this job is I got to play in the Soccer Aid thing at Old Trafford, which was just an unbelievable experience. I believe Kevin Bridges touched on it on his, and me and Kevin had a great time, sitting with Mourinho and stuff. And well, basically, I played a charity game, and I'd done my ligaments, and I had a keyhole on it. And I kind of thought that was it. And it took me out of work for 3 months. So my agents said, right, enough's enough, sort of, like, it's time to concentrate on your actual job. And then the call came through for Soccer Aid. And I hadn't even run or anything on it yet. And I was just thinking, maybe this isn't the right thing. But I says, I'll go down and I'll have a run. And if I can wait on it, I can't miss this opportunity. Because they told me Mourinho was managing. You were going to be playing with Seedorf, Stam, Davids, Del Piero, Shevchenko. You know, it was an incredible lineup, Van der Sar. And I thought, I just need to kind of, just to be on a pitch with these people. And Mourinho was unbelievable. So we turned up on the night, and I'd a run about with the physio that day. And he said, look, it's weak, but we can do stuff for you, and it'll be all right. We'll strap you up and all that kind of thing. So Mourinho comes down for the initial kind of dinner thing, and he had a dossier on every one of us. And he says, look, I know about your knee. He says, you're going to start at the weekend. Because the point was we were to train Tuesday to Friday and play the game on Sunday. And you were sort of to play yourself into his plans. And he said, you're going to start, don't train. Like, we need you. And a bit of me was like, having been a footballer, I wanted to be on a training pitch with Mourinho and see the secrets and all that kind of thing. And so he kind of let me kind of pot about. He'd always kind of have me on and go, right, this is where you're going to be, front post, back post. He's so organised, it was unbelievable. Like, everybody knew where they had to be. And it was just mind-blowing to see this. And the first thing he said is, look, this is for charity. We're going to enjoy ourselves, but we're here to win. My teams don't lose. So we got the Tuesday, Wednesday, the Thursday, he'd let me have a little kick about it. He says, right, tomorrow, he says, I'm going to let you train on the Friday. So I was buzzing. So I was trying to get an early night, and then the phone goes and it's Greg. He says, look, you're going to come out, you want to come in town and meet me? I'm out with Paolo Nutini, who's another good friend. And he says, no, look, mate, I've been on the table all day, getting my massage and stuff. But the guy says my knee's fine, I'm going to train tomorrow. And he said, look, just come into town. I'm like, no. I said, look, just come into town. Hung up, phone goes again. He said, look, just come meet us for a beer, you're all right. I said, look, mate, we're on lockdown. I'm playing this game on Sunday. And he said, he says, look, just move. I went, no. Phone goes again, it's Paolo, and he says, if you don't come out tonight, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And I went, look, you take the piss here. Because I said, look, I really shouldn't be doing this. So do you mean that? And he says, just come down, you'll see what I mean. So I got out the back of the hotel and jumped a taxi. All the England boys were already out, but I think they were about hanging about. Mourinho was kind of strict on us, rightly so, I think. And so I got a car into the Groucho where we're sitting now, meet Greg and Paolo for a drink. And he says, look, just follow me. We walk round the corner, just round the corner there, I think it's the back of the Hippodrome. I walk into this tiny wee booth and out struts Prince. and proceeded to play for the next 5 hours or so solid.
No.
It was unbelievable. Obviously, you know who Prince is and you know some of the songs and stuff, but I've never seen anything like it. And there must have been about 100 people in the place.
Whoa.
And then so I got on about 7 or 8 in the morning. Jose gave me the shout on the pitch, and I went, no, I think you're right, Jose. I'm back on the table.
We twins.
Felt my knee a bit heavy, and I don't want to risk it for Sunday, so just sit and lay in the bed for the rest of the day again.
Did you tell him?
I told him after that. I told him on the Sunday night, but I didn't want to jeopardise because I think I was supposed to start left mid. Michael Sheen broke his wrist and Michael was supposed to start right back, and he said, look, I'm going to need to move you to right back. But I've got a great picture because of that, because he said, look, I'm going to move you to right back, so Michael's going to start and then we'll put you on. He's going to change the banners, whatever, and then you'll go on. And I've got a great picture framed of me at Old Trafford with Jose telling me at the side of the pitch, pointing where to go. And then he said to me, Ollie Murs was one, he said, just make sure, he says, that boy's a whippet. He said, just make sure he doesn't get on the ball or do anything. And as he ran by, Jose just ran on the pitch and nailed him. Just nailed him. And I seen wee Murs rolling around looking up at me, and I'm laughing. And then that set the tone for me, so I just nailed him the rest of the night. But it was, I mean, that kind of stuff was unbelievable. And to get a thing of being on a pitch with those players. And what I'll never forget is maybe to say he's underrated isn't the right word, because he's won the European Cup with 3 different teams. But Seedorf controlled the tempo of that entire game. I mean, you've got world-class players around him, all legends. But he controlled that game. When he wanted to up it the whole game up, and when he wanted to slow it down, I think he scored 3 that night, actually. It was unbelievable.
He remains a really good athlete as well.
Yeah,
he's a machine. He's in his...
Yeah, well, I mean, him and Davids were whipping the bodies out in the showers. Me and Kevin made ourselves quite scarce. They're still man mountains. But, I mean, I think it was 70,000 there that night, you know, and it was... And with a lot of these charity games, that you feel like the one I'm playing on Sunday, it is charity, but there was a lot of needle in that. There still is, because the week of the build-up, because then it's sort of England v sort of Scotland, Wales and Ireland.
It was important, and you want to do yourself justice as well, even though you're out partying until late in the morning.
You do, but because I remember as well, because Mourinho did say to me, he said, make sure he doesn't get a ball on him, and I think Ollie Moore's got substituted, and he ran down at the side of the pitch and shouted on me, and I turned around and he just clapped. And I was just like, fucking hell, it was amazing. I remember as well, he told me, do not cross the halfway line. He says, let Clarence and Edgar do all the balls. He says, I want you to defend. We need you. He says, we've only got so many, because it's a celeb football things. I think you're only allowed 4 footballers on. Yeah. And he says, we need you to defend. And at one of the corners, Big Yap Stam, who doesn't head the ball, he headbutts a ball. It's unbelievable seeing how far this man puts a ball with his nut. Yeah. And the whole, when you hear Yap, place just parts. Nobody gets near him. But he shouted at one of the corners. Martin got forward. And I just pointed at Jose, who ran down, and he wasn't even looking, just a wee wag of the finger, and Yap went, all right. Stuff like
what you achieve professionally now, that's going to stay up there. Top. Every young fella's dream.
I played glassing through the past. That's the stuff that stays with you, because it's the stuff I grew up watching. You know, I mean, I always loved acting, I always loved movies and stuff. But, you know, I didn't dream about winning Oscars. I dreamed about lifting the cup with Celtic.
Now, we do have one question before we stop, because people bother to write in. So, Ian Hamilton, if Martin could play one famous sportsman, who would it be and why?
Benny Lynch.
Is a shout?
Benny Lynch. Because he's another one, I think, because it pretty much goes back to what we were saying. He achieved it. He was Scotland's first world champion. He went all the way, and I think Robert Carlyle has been a vocal backer of it, and so am I, to try and get a statue for him at Central Station, because there's this incredible picture of him at Central Station. I think there's like 10,000 people there after he won the world title, and him being lifted and carried through by the crowds. But it's a really tragic life story. He was undefeated when he lost the title. He lost it because he was overweight. He never made the weight. He knocked the guy out still. And then he sort of descended into alcoholism and died destitute. But everybody said he gave pretty much every last penny he had away. You know, he was a very kind man. But no, he went all the way. So that would probably be something. I think that's a story that deserves.
Has that story been filmed?
I had one of these things. Maybe that's where it came to my prominence. And I got one of these jobs. Script offers came through, which was too good to be true, and it turned out it was. It was me playing Benny Lynch and my coaches and managers was Gabriel Byrne, Brendan Gleeson, and Robert Duvall, I think. So it was just like, if this happens, and it sadly didn't.
Then the finish is this. That's a great choice, by the way. And the big interview, if there's a campaign about Benny and the statue, we'll join.
Statue for Benny.
We'll join. We'll publicise it. I agree with you. The last one is, how do you live in LA?
I don't. That's the problem. I'm on the verge of getting a divorce, I think, because my beautiful wife, I think since we've moved there for 2 years, I've maybe spent 3 months there. I've been on the road and I'm under no illusion how lucky I am at the minute, and just going job to job, but your personal life goes when you're working. I mean, I've been married now, just coming up for a year, and we still haven't had a honeymoon, you know, and but again, the thing is with this job, a lot of it's to do with momentum. You know, and I'm on a great roll at the minute. You know, I went from filming Plain Sight about Peter Manuel. Within 3 days, I was in Belfast for 4 months. I had Christmas, and the 2nd of January, I was in Prague to do the film with Keira Knightley. Got home for a couple of weeks, and now I've been in New York doing Queen Victoria, and then I finished that in 2 weeks, and I start in 3 weeks my next big film, which is going to be 3-4 months. So technically, that's where the wife and the dog is. And it's where my hammock is, and it's where my Billy McNeil gnome is.
Out in the garden?
Yep.
In LA somewhere,
up
in Cahuenga Pass, or I don't know, there's a Billy McNeil gnome in a garden.
There is indeed. Yeah, it's my little Lorne Legends, my little... I'm an actor trying to make it in the cutthroat world of garden gnomes.
It's brutal there. Yeah. Then I'll wait to get you to describe the LA set. I just think living in an iconic place where every corner you've seen on television or cinema.
From that point of view,
it's not the glamour I'm after.
Yeah, no. If you go, because I mean, we live North Hollywood, just in the valley, so I mean, you're 10 minutes from Universal and stuff. But I'd encourage people to go, if you're all out there, go to places like which the Magic Castle is quite tough to get into. It's like a private members club for magicians, where Johnny Carson and stuff and Cary Grant were all members. That's the kind of place I love. And there's a beautiful old Italian restaurant again, which is called Dantana's, but proper old Hollywood. That's the kind of place I love.
That's what I went, because I read the old cinema books. I read Disconnect from the World. I read crime fiction. It's usually a cop or a detective in LA.
Yeah.
So you hear all the names.
Mickey Cohen and all that. Yeah.
The parks. They talk about the traffic.
Yeah. Well, there's one again. It's like, because we drive over the hill quite a lot, and there's one building. My friend tells me, I'd love it if it's true. There's these two houses where on one side of the street was Houdini and one side of the street Chaplin, and they've got a tunnel connecting underneath. Now, again, whether all this stuff is, whether it's kind of,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. It's mind blowing.
Matter.
Yeah, and you see some of these houses, and you see, I think it's Jerry Lewis who used to our house. It's I live next door to one of my close friends, Ross McCall, a brilliant actor. People probably know him from like Band of Brothers and Green Street and stuff, but a big football man. And so our house is sort of our little kind of bits divvied up into three houses, but when it was one, I think Jerry Lewis owned it. I like it now. We're living in West Hollywood and stuff. It can be really soulless because it's so cutthroat.
Do you miss pavements?
No, I miss greenery. I miss greenery. That's what because it's all fake green, lush green. But I found what I did find was, this is no joke. There's a game on Friday night. There's some lovely lads who they're actually, one's a big Antonio and Ruben. So the wee Mexican lads who work in the cafe were saying was two brilliant wee footballers. We've all kind of became pals through football, and we play a game on a Friday night. And it's funny because the wee Latino lads can play really well, and Brit lads, but the American lads, one of them was playing with a set of earphones in, which I could not get my head around.
That's LA.
Yeah, then another one, literally, I haven't seen this since I was 9, picked his ball up and walked off the park.
No, it's my ball.
He did it, it's my ball.
I'm not playing.
Do you know why he did it as well?
Stop kicking me.
You know why he did? No, because I thought he got kicked, and I turned around to my mate, I said, what's going on? Somebody hit a shot, and it hit him in the stomach. And because the guy didn't apologise, he said.
Yeah.
No, he never even got tackled. He just got hit with the ball. And he picked up his ball and walked off the park and left. And he was a grown man.
That's the reason I have to leave LA, just right there.
It's unbelievable. It's but the wee Latin lads can certainly play. But it's I mean, you see guys kicking a ball up and they shout good yardage, and you're thinking, what is going on here? You know, we're playing a long ball.
Go getter.
Yeah, there's a lot of sun. Put it that way.
I'm not against that myself. You're very generous. You've got a busy life. The momentum is talent. Thank you for sharing this. You're a great storyteller.
Thanks, mate.
It's been a pleasure. The big interview with Martin Compston. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The Big Interview is produced by Backpage and me, Graham Hunter. The music you always hear, the music that you love, is Beer Jacket. You can keep up with everything that we do, within reason, by getting on the mailing list at grahamhunter.tv. How many times do I have to tell you? Yes, several thousand of you have done it, but come on, slackers at the back, sign up. That grahamhunter.tv site is also where you can buy the new updated version of my book, Barca, the Making of the Greatest Team in the World. It's my account of the Guardiola era at the Camp Nou, from 2008 until 2012, plus Tito, Tata, and Adios Johan Cruyff. It is in all good bookshops now, but it does also make a big difference to all of us who've worked on the project if you choose to buy direct at grahamhunter.tv/books. You'll be sure to get the new edition, and you will be helping us to continue producing independent content. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being there. Without you, this would be fun, but a lot less fun. See you soon.